So we are on our way to the 2017 New York Metro Area Abilities Expo. In the car with me today, my husband, who's trying to get us there safely, and Andrew way back there. Andrew, say hi. Andrew. And it's just the three of us, and it actually feels like a date in some ways because we are so very rarely with just one child. Our three other children are with grandma and a babysitter while we go on this very exciting trip. And so this is actually our second time at the Abilities Expo. Last year was our first year and we loved it. It was actually a highly productive trip because we went hoping to purchase one wheelchair, but we came away from it with two new wheelchairs. So the first wheelchair that we purchased was a Freedom Pro CG. Andrew uses it as a day-to-day wheelchair. It's what he uses to be transported to and from school. And the second wheelchair we purchased was an all-terrain wheelchair called a Hippocamp, created by a French company named Vipamat. And we love that chair too because you can hike with it, you can go on rocky terrain with it, you can go on the beach with it. So we're very pleased with both purchases. The purpose of our trip today is to check out as many wheelchair accessible van options as possible. We have this really awesome wheelchair that Andrew uses every single day for school, but unfortunately it doesn't fit into any of our car situations right now. Now, some things to consider when we purchase a wheelchair accessible van is whether we would want to purchase a side entry van or a back entry van. At first I thought we would want a side entry van because that's what most people we know have and it's what we see when we're out and about. But as I was driving around and checking out different handicap accessible parking spots around us, I noticed that oftentimes there isn't room for a side entry wheelchair to unload. And so that's something to take into consideration. Another consideration we have to really keep in mind is that we have 4 children. So not only do we have to fit in a wheelchair, but we have to comfortably fit, seats for 3 other children, and each of them are in varying, booster seats and car seats and this and that. And if we could also somehow fit in a 5th individual in the back, that would be a really nice perk as well. I think a place like the Abilities Expo is a really amazing event because it brings together hundreds of vendors that cater to those with disabilities or those caring for loved ones with disabilities. And you can also go and check out all the newest gear, newest equipment, newest therapies. And last year we felt, we were so happy to find the perfect wheelchair for Andrew because it's in such contrast to what our experience was like when we purchased his first wheelchair. His first wheelchair was purchased when Andrew was 2 years old. A vendor came to our home with one wheelchair. And she said to us, you know what, this is the wheelchair for Andrew. And at the time, we were new special needs parents. This was all uncharted territory for us. We had no idea what we were doing. And so we said, yeah, sure. That wheelchair, you say it's great, you know a lot more than we do, so sure, we'll go with it. So we bought it, and it was a Convey Cruiser. And the Convey Cruiser itself is awesome. It's a really great chair. It's pretty light. I think it's around 30 pounds. It also folds up very nicely, so it's travel friendly, and it's attractive looking. And actually, Andrew is featured using that Convey Cruiser in most of our previous videos. But the reason that it doesn't work for Andrew as a day-to-day chair is because it does not provide enough support. Andrew came home from school one day with blood, his inner knee was just completely bloodied, and it's because, it's because his knees were rubbing together. So then we put together a hack so that, and we kind of, manipulated the chair and figured something else so that his knees wouldn't knock together. And then the other piece of it was that it didn't provide enough support for his body and head. And so what we would find is that Andrew would be completely slumped over like this, and people would say to us, is he okay? And we were constantly trying to push his head back up. And so it just wasn't working out. We actually brought the Convey Cruiser with us today. It's in the back seat, folded up very nicely right there. But it's going to work for us today because we figured out another hack. We recently acquired a special tomato sitter chair, and you can basically attach that chair to anything. And so we thought to ourselves, well, why don't we try attaching it to Andrew's Compleat cruiser? And we did, and it works. And so that's the new thing that we've been doing. And so I'll actually show you once we get to the expo and we start unloading what the Compleat cruiser is like. When we chose our second chair at the expo, it was great because we viewed dozens of different options. We were able to try out options, ask lots of questions, so that when we went to the seating clinic, we knew exactly what we wanted. So yeah, we're very pro Abilities Expo, and we're very excited to see and check out all the different car options. Here is a special tomato chair. Here is his Compleat cruiser. I'm just going to pull this out. It is still pretty heavy. And it just opens up on its own. And then I'm going to grab this special tomato chair. Just prop it on there like that. And then and voila, it's like, it's a hack and it works really well for Andrew. Parked and we're all registered. We need to actually give Andrew his water, and he needs a diaper change. Anyone in there? Looks good. It's really nice that they have a separate adult changing table area. Here's a room. It's actually the conference room that they emptied out. You see that there's a massage table here and a little note that says, please clean table before and after use. And there they have like antiseptic material, spray. All right, Andrew. So this was actually one of my concerns before we came to the expo, whether or not they would have an adult changing space. And so I went to the Abilities Expo website and I filled out one of those inquiry forms. And the very next day, the CEO of Abilities actually emailed back saying that yes, we do have something, and it's in the conference room if you're not really sure where to go.
So essentially in a rear entry, yeah, you lose your trunk space, but instead of so you get a choice. You either get the 3-person factory seats in the back, or the 3-person factory seats here, okay? If you get the 3-person factory seats here, then you have a half cut right there that you would end up having, like in this setup. It's almost as if, see where this cuts all, see how this cut is made all the way up to here?
Yes.
That's what you mean by half cut.
A half cut means that we don't bring it all the way up here. We stop here so that you can maintain these middle row seats. You see what I'm saying? So he ends up being in the 3rd row. It's like he takes up the entire 3rd row bench.
There's a fold down adult bench if you want it.
If you want it when he's not in there, you can have that fold down bench, but if his chair is pretty much going to take up that entire 3rd row. What's the downside? It is if you needed to get him, pull over.
Right.
Get there. Or because the kids are in the way, it's not going to be easily accessible to him.
Okay.
But maybe it's more important to be accessible to the other 3 kids.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Too.
Because they might be a little bit more fight.
This is a Honda Odyssey, wheelchair accessible van, rear entry. So here, this one fits driver, a passenger seat, 2 people, and a manual lift, back entry lift. Looks like another Toyota Sienna. It's a 2017. This one's a little bit different from the one that we just checked out. Oh look, you can get an upgrade with a DVD player. Next to us we have a Dodge Grand Caravan. Nice leather interior. Again, back entry, 2 seats. So it seems like these are they're all very similar. Most of these are totally not suitable for our family of 6. Looks like the door comes out through there. And you can release a platform lift for a passenger. Can fit quite a few people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people total. Standard vehicle price is about $57,000. Do you see why we've been very commitment phobic so far? So Andrew and I are in the eating area now, and he's going to have his lunch, and I'm going to show you what he's having for lunch. This is a new product called Nourish. It's created by a company called Functional Formularies. It's an organic whole foods meal replacement. It's complete plant-based nutrition. So what I love about this is that it's real food. Let's flip it over. Let's look at the ingredients. Okay. First ingredient is water. We have garbanzo beans, green peas, whole grain, brown rice, carrots, olive oil, quinoa, whole grain brown rice, sweet potato, some vitamins, broccoli, kale, flax, turmeric, ginger, alaria, type of seaweed. Each packet is about 400 calories. What's amazing is that it is all organic and specially formulated for little kids. It's actually a pretty amazing product. Yeah, what we're eating, I'm having my very healthy pastrami on rye, French fries. What do you have there, Mike?
Sausage and peppers.
Yum. So we actually have a celebrity sighting. That is Micah from the show Speechless. I believe he is the star speaker of the event here at the Abilities Expo. So Micah is awesome because TV shows have a tendency to hire non-disabled people to play disabled roles, but Micah himself, he actually has cerebral palsy and a speech impediment. And he's on a show playing a kid, a teenager, with cerebral palsy and a speech impediment. What's also cool about the convention is that there is a wheelchair repair area. They're kind of spread out throughout the location. So here's one. So you have lots of people bringing their wheelchairs and getting things tweaked and lengthened and shortened and added and taken off. So it's pretty cool that they offer that here as well. This is Andrew.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what size chair.
Medium.
He's definitely a medium.
Move down to F-block.
Okay, so this is Andrew in the large. You know what? I think the large is actually an okay size.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so.
For sure. So they also offer a bunch of workshops. Like right now, there is a hyperbaric oxygen therapy workshop happening. Chronic pain, accessible home design. There's one that we might have benefited from, how to select the right accessible vehicle for you. Caregiver Day at Abilities Expo, Sunday, May 7th. I guess I'll be missing that. What do you have there?
They gave us 4 free pins
For buying t-shirts?
and a free bag.
Very cool.
Lots of free stuff today.
We have to get home now, so we're heading out. It was a very successful trip. You can see that even as we're leaving, lots of people are filing in. George Washington Bridge. We're back in New York. And to the right, New York City. So Andrew, did you have a good time? Yeah? I take that as a yes. So every time we look back, we see that he's been kind of quietly laughing to himself. So he's like in especially good spirits today. Probably because he knows we're buying him a car.